Good evening or good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are joining us from. My fellow tech enthusiasts, it's another evening today where we have our Azure Open Source Linux Weekly Study Series. I have with me here our great speaker, Mr. Latif Taiwo. He has been taking us through a couple of things on the Linux ecosystem and how it works and how to make the most of the operating system. So today we'll be talking about essential Linux command, the second part, and I'm sure we are all eager to hear what Mr. Latif share with us. It's been a wonderful experience so far, and I'm sure that we are learning and we have a lot of questions to ask. So we are here again today. Come with your writing pads, come with your system, set up your terminals, and get ready to and ask your questions. So, Mr. Latif, I'll hand over the mic to you, sir. Mr. Latif, I think it's okay. So, sir, you have the floor now, sir.
All right. Thank you. Let me
Yes,
share my
sir.
screen.
Okay.
Let me know if you can see this, my slide. Oh, so moderator, can you see my slide? Moderator?
So I can hear you, sir, but I'm unable to see your slide. Are you sharing your screen yet? Okay. I think it's coming up now.
You should be seeing it now. So, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are joining us from. Welcome once again to another session of the Linux Weekly Study Series. And this session is a hands-on Linux class geared towards being a Linux system administrator, at least a junior Linux system administrator. So we've been talking about commands, essential Linux commands that every Linux system administrator should know and be aware of. And today we'll move on. Last week uh, we talked about process management commands, and we we played through all these commands: the ps command, the kill command, the pgrep command, and the pkill command. So uh, we'll move forward today. Now, before we delve into before we delve fully into what we have today, I want to quickly do a refresher of what we did last in the last class. I don't know if there's anyone in the audience that joined us the last time. We gave an assignment or like a take home uh, a take home work just to test our knowledge on some of the things we learned the last time. And I talked about using the grep command to print out some lines in files. And I think the second assignment was which command do we use to print out the kernel version of a Linux operating system. So, uh, did anyone in the audience attempt this assignment? All right. Uh, Before we move on, I would like to share my Ubuntu VM screen, and this is my Ubuntu VMware screen. So the last time we talked about the grep command, and I also mentioned of and I also made mention of so we'll be talking about the I want to explore the grep command more. Like, I want to show us practically what it can be used to do. Now, we can use from our last class, we created some files and directories, and we also created, we also worked with some other commands. And we also worked with some other commands. So I want to go into my documents directory, and you can see I have several files. I have the file.txt and I have new.txt. If I cut my file.txt, we said cut is used to display the contents of a file. Now, I can use grep to, if I want to get lines in this file that start with, let's say, the word this, I can use grep to look for it. I'll do grep and I will use the I've forgotten what this word is called, what this symbol is called. Then I'll specify my directory in the documents directory. Sorry, the file rather. The file is file.txt. So we can see that this will display for me lines that start with this. So this symbol that looks like an inverted lowercase symbol is used to, if you type that symbol and you type a word, the grep command will display lines in the file that start with that word. What about I want to get lines in the file that end with a particular word? We'll use the dollar sign. For example, let me try to explore other files that have more lines. For example, if we cut the etc/pass wd directory, we see all this, right? So if I want to display lines that end with the word bash, I'll do grep. I'll type the dollar symbol bash /etc. I'll now type my directory /pass wd, and it is searching for that. So while it is searching for that, let's quickly move to what we'll have for today. We'll be talking about user management commands, user and group management commands. But before we delve into that, I want to talk about the file system, the Linux file system. All right, it seems like this command is taking too long to display what I want, but we can use, let me put this in double quotes. I can try this on the file I created on my documents directory. Okay, we'll come back to that. We'll get to explore many of these commands as we move on. Now, I want to talk about the Linux file system. I don't know if you can see my slide. All right. So the Linux file system is in a tree format. Sorry, let me go to the slide. So the Linux file system follows a tree-like hierarchical layout that is governed by the file system hierarchy standard, FHS. And this is the standard that is maintained by the Linux Foundation. If you don't know about the Linux Foundation, you can simply search about it, but I'll tell us a brief about it. The Linux Foundation is the foundation that maintains Linux, irrespective of the Linux distro. They maintain Linux. So, as maintained by the Linux Foundation, the Linux file system is a tree-like hierarchical layout. What do you mean by that? Just take, for example, look at a tree and look at it from the root down to the stem and the leaves. That is how the Linux file system tree is. Just look a tree like upside down. We have the root. That is why we have this the slash. This directory is actually not the slash directory, but it's the root directory. Now, under this root directory, we have other directories such as the slash bin directory, the slash etc directory, the slash home directory, the slash opt directory, the slash tmp directory, the slash usr directory, the slash var directory. Under the slash home directory, we have other directories for users. So if I create several users in my Linux system, they will have their own home directory. And under each user's home directory, you will have the desktop directory, the documents directory, the music directory, the downloads directory, and what have you. And under those other directories, you can have all other things. So for following along, this is a simple diagrammatical representation of the Linux file system. It is in form of a tree from the root down. Now, I am back to my I want to come back to my Ubuntu VMware, my Ubuntu virtual machine. So I'll clear this and I will cd to the root directory. I'm in the root directory. If I type ls to list the current directories under this directory, we'll see some of these directories that are in my slide. We can see the slash bin, we can see the etc directory, we can see the lib64 directory, we can see the mount directory, we can see run, we can see swap file, we can see var, we can see the boot directory, we can see the home directory, we can see all of these directories. So under each of these directories, you have other directories. For example, if I go to if I cd into home, if I go to my home directory and I do ls, you see that we have the Savi directory, which is the home directory of the current user that is logged into the Linux system. If I do cd survey and I do ls and I type ls, we can see all these other directories. You can see desktop, downloads, pictures, which are for the current user that is logged into the system. So that is the Linux file system. Now, in the next slide, I'll talk about, I will explain some of the directories in the Linux file system. So we have the Linux file system directory structure, the explanation. Now, this directory represented by slash, it is the root directory. That is this directory represented by slash, it is the root directory. If I do ls, we'll see some of this directory represented on my Ubuntu virtual machine. We'll see it here. So we have this root directory. It is the nameless base of the file system. It is the root directory. It is incorrectly referred to as the slash directory, but it is not supposed to be called slash directory. It should be called the root directory. Although it is not a directory in itself, it's just a directory separator. Yes, it is true, because it separates all these other directories. If you go here, you will see these other directories under it. Now, we talk about the bin directory, /bin. It contains essential command binary programs, and they are stored. It contains essential command binaries and that are stored here. For example, the bash, the tar files. If you compress files, they are all stored in the /bin directory. We have the boot directory. Static files that are used by the bootloader to boot up your operating system, they are stored in the /boot directory. We have the /dev directory. Some of these directories we'll get to understand them better as we move on. The /dev directory is for device files. In Linux, hardware devices are accessed just like other files. For example, if you are to put an external hard drive or an external flash drive on your Linux machine, they are accessed just like other files. If I am to do df-h, you will see /dev/sda3. You will see /dev/sda2. These are device directories. This device directory is the main location where my operating system is for most of the files in my operating system. We can see these directories. So we'll talk about the /etc directory. It is mainly for configuration files. Then the /home directory, that is, I've talked about home directory, that is home directory of each the users on the system. So I will quickly zoom through many of these. We'll get to understand them better in the coming sessions. Now, this /lib directory contains essential shared libraries and kernel modules. The /proc directory contains process information for pseudo file systems. The /root directory is the is the home directory of the root user. So I'll try to access that. We can see root here. If I do cd root, I cannot go there because I am not root, but I can go into the root directory with sudo. If I use sudo command, it asks for my password. It is still denying me. Why? Because I am not the root user. So we have the /sbin directory, which is for essential system binaries such as the fdisk and the fsck commands, which are very, very useful if you want to fix your file system, or you want to fix your disk, maybe the file system is corrupt, the slash tmp directory for temporary files, the usr directory is the base directory for most shareable read-only data. And this USR directory has some other directories under it, which we'll get to explore, such as the USR/bin, USR/lib, and all of that. I'll move on. We have USR/local, we have USR/sbin, USR/share, and all. We have the /var directory, which is for variable data, such as mail and printer spools, log files, and all of that. We have the /opt directory, which is for optional or third-party software. All of these directories are in my we can see all of these directories when I do ls, when I'm in my root directory. You can see this opt directory. So now we move on. Let's now do more hands-on. Well, I'll be talking about the user and group management commands. I intentionally put this part, file system directory structure here, so that we'll better understand what we have been doing and we'll better understand the things we'll still be doing. Now, I want to add a user so that we can see that this user will now have his own home directory, just as shown in the file system hierarchy structure. So you add a user on Linux using the user add command. Let me clear my screen. So I want to add another user. Let's just say, so if I want to add this user, because the user add command is a kind of a high level command, I need to use sudo. I'll use sudo user add. So let's just put user Tommy. Sudo user add Tommy. Automatically, this user has been added to the system. Now, there's another command similar to user add command, but it is a little bit, it adds user to the system in a little bit different way. I'll also explore that now. Then we'll now see the difference between the user add command and this other command. The command is called add user command. Now, I'll add another user. I'll do sudo add user bio. Want to have another user called bio on this system. Now, this add user command, it will immediately prompt me to type a password for user for the user bio. But we saw that when I added the user Tommy to this system, I wasn't prompted to input a password. That is one difference between the user add command and the add user command. So if I do sudo add user bio, it is adding user bio. And if you can remember, in the last class, I made mention of something. Whenever you are adding a user to a system or creating a new user on a system, automatically a new group having the same name as that user will be created. You can see that this command, so Linux system administrator find the add user command more, let's use the word more user friendly, because it tells you what is going on under the hood or behind the scenes. For example, it is adding a user, it added the user, adding user bio, adding new group with the same name bio, and it's giving it a group ID. This 1002 that you're seeing here is called GID, group ID. There's something called UID. We may not get there today, but we'll explore that too. When we're talking about SUID, SGID, and sticky bit, that is the set user ID or set group ID, and also the sticky bit commands. Now, this command, okay, let me explain this further. So it creates automatically, it is creating a home directory /home/bio. That is the home directory for the user bio, and it's also copying files from the etc/curl directory. So now we want to create a password for the user bio. I'll use a simple bio, a simple password. I'll just use password. a simple password by 123 or so, Linux automatically tells me that the password is bad because it is not strong. It is shorter than 8 characters, but I still want to use it. This is just for testing purpose. On a production system or on a live system, please don't use passwords that are shorter than 8 characters. Use passwords that are longer than 8 characters or more, and try to combine uppercase, lowercase, and numbers and symbols. That is very, very good for security reasons. So automatically, we've created this user, but it still asks for more information, the add user command. We can skip this, but I would not want to skip it. It's asking me for the full name of the user. Bayo Oluwa Femi. This is just an arbitrary, so room number 123, work phone. I'll just put anything. We can skip this. We can skip this, but I'll just put anything. Home phone, I'll skip this. I'll type enter, and it's asking me to confirm if the information is correct. I'll type the letter Y and enter. We have this user. So to my audience, you can see that the add user command gives you more insight into what is happening under the hood. Ordinarily, if I want to create this user, I can just simply use the user add command. I know what is happening under the hood. But for the case of, for the sake of this session and this class, we want to know what is happening, what Linux is doing while creating these users. So this is simply an overview of what is happening. Now, we have several users in this my virtual machine. Now, if I want to know if I actually have these users in my system, for example, you want to confirm if there is a user named Tommy that we created, the user named Tommy that we created at that time using the user add command, I can simply cut or I can do, can I remember this command? gid bio, let's see. Okay, command gid cannot be found, but it can be installed with sudo apt install id utils. We'll get there some other time, but let me quickly install this on another terminal. Let me install the gid command in another terminal. This is a simple, short way by which Linux system administrators tend to query their system. Sorry. So that is being installed. Now, I can cut the /etc/pass wd directory to see if I have the user bio, but it will display so many things for me, although we can still see bio. And we can see the Tommy user that we created. We can see this. We have several fields here. The first field is for the user. The next field is representing that the password of the user is encrypted. Usually, Linux just puts the symbol, the letter X there, but it tells you that only encrypted passwords can be used by this user. And we can see the user ID as 1001, the group ID 1001 also. We can see the home directory, and we can see some other things. Now, we can see that the first user on this system, all these other users up from this GMD, they are system users. When we get in our comment sessions, we'll talk about system users and normal users. So these system users, they are some of the things that the Linux operating system uses to work on some applications. There are processes. Some of them are some are system users that allow several processes to run on our system. For example, this GDM, it works for the Genome Display Manager. We have several display managers on Linux, but it is Genome that comes by default with Ubuntu. Now, coming down to these users created, the first user on this system is Savvy. We can see that Linux automatically gives it, and its password is encrypted. Linux automatically gives it the UID of 1000, the group ID the group ID of 1000, and we have this other name, this server, just other information about the user, and we have the /home/server directory, /home/server, which is the home directory of that user, and we have the default shell of the user. Similar thing for Tommy. The default shell for Tommy is /bin/sh. The default shell for bio is /bin/bash. Now, let's quickly create a password for /Tommy. So if you want to create a password for /Tommy, we will now talk about the passwd command, which is another command here. Tommy. I want to set a password for Tommy. I'll type Tommy123. So a password has been set for the user Tommy. So we can actually log in as the user Tommy. But let's now, let's log in as the user Tommy from my user server. I'll do sudo now I want to go to the home directory. We have bio and we have server as several home directories that we can go to. So this further explains the Linux file system, that every user has his or her own home directory. We can see that under my home directory I have bio, which is the home directory for bio. We have server, which is the home directory for server. So now let's move forward. We have the user mod command. The user mod command is used to the user mod command is used to change the properties of a user. If, for example, I want to, let's say, for example, I want to nothing came to my mind, but let's explore the man page of the user mod command. We can modify, that is, you use it to modify a user account. For example, you can use it to modify the GID, the group ID. You can use it to set the user's password to expire. So let's quickly explore that. You can use it to maybe remove the user's home directory and all of that. So if, for example, I want to set the user's password to expire, I can do sudo user mod -expire or -e, that's the shortcut. Specify a date, let's say 2023, the year, the month, September, and the day, the first day in September for user bio. It is done. I've set this user password to expire on September 1st, 2023. So on that day, when this user wants to log in, it will be forced to change his password. So the long form of the -e flag is this --expire date, the date on which the user account will be disabled. So the user account will be disabled. on that day if they don't make any other change to that account. So now we can actually set uh, sorry, dash E is for is for account expiration. That is to disable an account. But if you want to lock a user's account to make him to enforce a password reset policy, for him to reset his password, maybe when next he wants to log in, you need to use the dash L, the dash capital L command. So we can quickly explore that. I'll do sudo user mode dash L Tommy or Bayo, anyone. So the user Bayo, his account has been locked and he must reset his password whenever he wants to log in. So let's move on. So we have talked about the pass WD command. That is what I used to change password. We have the group add command. So if you want to add a user to a group, for example, I want to add another group on this system. I want to have several other groups. If, for example, I want to know the groups that my current user belong to, I'll type groups. You can see the groups that my current user belong to. I'm logged in as Savvy. We have this group Savvy. We have ADM. We have CD-ROM. We have sudo. We have deep, and we have plug dev and all of that. Now, if I want to create another group, I will do group add developers group. Let's say developers. I cannot create developers group just like that. I have to be sudo. I need the right permission. I have to be a super user, so I'll do sudo. So for me to go back to the last command I used, I'll press the upward navigation key and I'll do sudo group add developers, and we'll have the group developers. Now, I want to add my user, my current user, to the developers group. I'll do, sorry, let me see my groups. So I'll do, we've added these groups, this new group developers. I want to add my user. I'll do sudo user mod G. There's something called primary group and secondary group. If I want to make this my primary group, small letter G, if I remember clearly. Sorry, that's wrong. Let me quickly explore the man page. All right. So we do sudo user add savvy dash g to developers group. Okay. Savvy already exists as a user. Sorry. This is to add a new user to the developers group. I'm automatically creating a new user and I'm adding him to the developers group. I'll make his primary group the developers group. If, for example, I want to create a new user called Joy, and I want his primary group to be the developers group, not the Joy group, I'll use this command, sudo user add joy dash g developers. And this should add the user Joy to developers group. So I can cut the /etc /passwd file, and I'll grep for Joy. This is how you can use. This is another way you can grep. You can use the grep command. I'll grep for Joy so that I will see information about Joy. We can see Joy, and we can see the user ID, the group ID for Joy. Now, if I want to change the group of the Savvy user, I can do sudo user mod Savvy dash g developers. We have it worked. So if I want to confirm the groups that Savvy belongs to, if I type the command groups, we can see that Savvy belongs to this group Savvy, but for some reasons I cannot see it. I cannot see the developers group here. All right, let's cut /etc /groups. Is this /sc /group? Aha. /etc /etc /group. We can see several groups that we have. If you do cut /etc /group, we have this. We have these groups. Now, we can modify the properties of a group using the group mod command. So if you check man page for the group mod command, you can see what you can use the group mod to do. You can change the group name. For example, I want to change, let's say this, developers group to engineers group. We can use sudo group mod -n developers. I think we'll specify, it will now specify the new group. Okay, the engineers group does not exist. Sorry, let's see, sudo group mod. The new name is engineers, and the group that we are changing is developers. So we can see that has changed my developers group name to engineers. If I cut my etc/group directory, we can see that the developers group has changed to engineers. So that is one use case of the group mod command. So we have explored sudo. We have always been exploring the sudo command, and this su command is to switch user. If, for example, I want to switch to Tommy. As for the password, Tommy123. So we are now in the user Tommy, and we have explored this before where I use sudo su Tommy. So I can go back by typing exit. I'll come back to my current user. So before we move forward, I would like to know if we have any question before I move to the network management command. Please, if you have any question. Moderator. Okay, let's then ask more question, please. All right, so Chuka Ojini asked that is add user same as user add? No, I mentioned that when I explored the user add. I believe Mr. Chuka can hear me. The add user command, technically it does the same thing as the user add command, but the add user command allows Linux system administrators or Linux users to have more insight into what happens when you try to add a user. For the sake of this question, I'll quickly explore the user add command and the add user command once again. I explained that they do the same thing technically, but in different ways, in the sense that the user add command, when you use it to add a user, it doesn't prompt you to input a password for that user immediately. It will not prompt you to input a password for that user immediately. But if you use the add user command, it will prompt you to input a password for that user, and it also tells you the things that are going on under the hood, why that user is being created. We'll explore that once again. Okay, I think my GID utils is fully installed. Now, I'll add another user now. I'll do sudo user add Chuka. This will not prompt me to input a password, and it will not tell me what is going on. Like, it will not tell me that a group named Chuka is being created, a home directory named /home/Chuka is being created. It will not tell me that it is fetching some files from the /scale directory, or it is creating what's it called? It is making the default share of the user maybe /bin/sh or /bin/zsh. No, it will not tell me that. To just create the user, simple. We can see that, and you can confirm that by catting or using GID. Let me first cat/etc/pass/wd, and I'll pipe and grep for Chuka. We can see the user, and automatically it creates a group called Chuka, and it gives it a default share of /bin/sh. But if I am to create a user using add user command, sudo add user, you can see that. So now, if, for example, let me quickly go back one bit. If I want to log into this user called Chuka, there will be a problem because there's no password set for that user. So let's create another user called using the add user command. Sudo add user, what name now? Bolu. This command will tell me the things that are going on. Oh, sorry, there's a name like that before. Let's use Fate. You can see this command tells me what is going on. So, and it automatically asks me to put a password for the user Fate. This add user command gives me more insight. So I tend to bring this in. Actually, this was not even in my slide, but because I'm a Linux system administrator, I know of this command, and I know it will make the learning process easier for my audience. So that is why I talked about this add user command. It wasn't even in my slide that I created. So this add user command now automatically tells me things that are going on under the hood, tells me that it's adding it is adding the user, it's creating a group for it with a group ID of 1005, creating a home directory for it, and also it prompts me to type a password for the user Faith. And I can skip all this and I can decide to put them in. So we have that. So we can try to confirm if our user Faith is up, or let me explore the gid command. I think that was not created because I did not type yes when I was supposed to type yes. Okay, it was created, but I think gid command is not working for now. I'll fix that at my own leisure. So I believe that answers the question. Okay, we have another question here. How can you use Linux file permissions to allow read access to a directory and its contents for the owner and group, but restrict access for other users? Yes, we'll get to explore this also. So that in that case, we'll be talking about the chown command or the chmod command. So for this question, how can we use Linux file permissions to allow read access to a directory and its contents for the owner and group, but restrict access for other users? So I'll answer this question, but we'll explore this. This part is actually a topic on its own, that is file permissions. But I'll quickly explore this. I'll come to my documents directory. Sorry, I have to go to home/survey. So if I do ll, we have this file.txt, and we'll have that. We have, okay, I'll briefly explain this. We have like about, let's say, is it 3 fields here or 9 fields? 1, 2, 3 separate. We have another 3, and we have another 3. Now, the first letter here, if you see D here, it is for directory. So this one is talking about the root directory, while this other one is talking about the previous directory. That's how we have ... Now, if you see dash here, it tells you that this is a regular file. Now, I want to ensure that, to the question again, I want to allow read access to a directory and its content for owner and group. So I'll do chmod for which directory now? Let me go back to one of the directories I've created before. Or let's say chmod. I'll do for my documents directory, chmod want to grant read access to a directory and its contents. So we'll do chmod-r so that it will be recursive. Just read access to owner, to the user and group. We'll get to explore this in our coming class. The group read access, sorry. U- or I should use octa permission. Let me just use octa permission. So For read access to only the user and the group, I'll use Okta permission 440/documents. So I believe next week I'll talk about this. I have to use sudo command. So it is done. If I'm to do ll/documents, sorry, not that. If I want to so we can see. So this is the answer to the question. How did I do that? We have, this is a directory document, and I have only read access. So these first three, we'll get there. This question should, well, let me just continue. This is the first three columns there are for the owner, that is the user that owns that directory or the file. The next three are for the group, while the last three are for others, that is like every other person on the system. So we can see that this is the simple command to do that. There's a longer way to do it for the sake of ease. We can use this Okta permission 440, and -r here stands for recursive. That is, this affects including the files inside it. So that is the answer to the other question. Moderator, is there any other question before I try to round up? So I'll move on. This part, we'll get to explore them better. I'm just, this session or this chapter is a brief overview, just an overview of all the commands, of the essential commands that we have. So now network management commands that I will try to round up. Yeah. So basically, so I will do. So one of the network management command is the ifconfig command, but it is a old command, or it's an old command rather, which has been replaced by the IP command. So we'll explore both of them together. So ifconfig gives you information about your network device, your device on the network, like tells you the IP address, the subnet mask, and all of that. Sorry, ifconfig cannot be found because it's a new system, but it can be installed using this, no problem. I'll quickly install it and go back to my previous directory. So instead of me swapping several directories, in the coming weeks, I'll tell us how Linux system administrators split their screen. I can actually do that on my primary operating system instead of me going to several terminal emulators. Now, I can use the IP command, and I've specified -a or IP address. So we have this. It tells me the loopback address. It tells me my IP, and this is too bold for my liking. I don't. We see inet something. So this is my IP and IPv4, and this is my IPv6 address. So for the network gurus, well, we know all this. We know that there's IPv4 and also IPv6. We'll talk about that more. So ping is a simple command that we all know. It is used to check if a host is up in the network, if a host is up or down. It's used to send ICMP packets. The SSH command is used to connect to a remote a remote host or a remote server using the SSH protocol, and that protocol uses port 22. The wget command is used to download files from the web. So there may be some things you want to install on your Linux operating system, and you will need to use the wget command to maybe download some files and all of that. Let me see if my it gives me something similar to the IP command. But ipconfig command is deprecated, and I believe that is why it didn't come by default with this my version of Ubuntu operating system. But the IP command is not deprecated. The IP command is a newer command. So we'll move on. Netstart command is used to display network connection and statistics. We'll get to explore some of these commands when we get to the networking session of this course. May God spare our lives till that time and beyond. So I can just simply do netstart. So you see, netstart gives me a lot of things, but let me just tell us another command that is similar to netstart command. I think netstart is also deprecated. The ss command. I can use this ss to, let's say I want to check for some things on my network, and I specify the flag TUNLP. It displays this. So if I want to get information about a particular service, let's say DNS service, I know DNS services run on port 53, I can pipe it to the grep command. You can see we are now using my grep command more and more. I will have information related to port 53, and we can see that. So that is netstart command. So on the next slide, we have the shell built-in commands. There are commands that are built into the shell and are used to perform tasks that are related to the shell, such as setting environment variables and modifying the shell behavior and more. So some of the shell built-in commands are the echo command, the set command, the alias command, the history command, and the likes. So if you want to get a history of all the commands you've used before, type history. You can see we get a history of the commands we've used on this terminal. So we have the echo command. The echo command is just used to tell Linux to print out something on the terminal. For example, I want to say echo hello world. Every programmer will know that hello world is the first, how to print the word hello world is the first thing you do when you're learning programming. So let's just do that since we're learning Linux too. We can see hello world, it prints for me hello world. So echo command is one of the shell built-in commands. So, and we can actually do, let me explore more things. Let me do what we call input and output redirection. We can redirect this output to, let me do echo hello world. And I want to redirect it to, where is that my file located? Sorry, let me confirm. I have one file. I have one file in the, let me do cd/home/survey ls downloads. I want to see, I have a directory, or is it a file? Okay. Okay, demo.txt. So I want to put /demo.txt. So this command, what does this command do? Echo hello world to demo.txt. Before I run this command, before I press enter, I want us to go and check the contents of the demo.txt file. What this command will do is that it will overwrite the contents of the demo.txt file with the word hello world. That is, it will input the word hello world into the demo.txt file while overwriting the initial information in it. Overwrite meaning that I want to remove what is inside that file before, and replace it with this current file, with this content. So before that, let me cut demo.txt. sorry, I'm not in the current directory. Cd slash home slash savvy slash downloads. Now cat demo.txt. We can see this is the current uh, content of this directory. Now, for the sake of this learning, I want to quickly make a duplicate of this file. I'll just do copy. I'll do cp demo.txt to my desktop directory. Sorry, my slash home slash savvy. Oh, sorry, this is a mistake by me. Since I specify slash home slash savvy, I didn't need to put the tilde sign. So I will do like this. So I've copied that. So if we go to my desktop, you can always see that file. For example, if I come to my desktop, you can see my demo.txt file. If we open it via the GUI, we will see the contents. We can see the contents. Okay, now for this one, I want to overwrite the contents with the word hello world. So, and this demo.txt file is located in the downloads directory, the downloads folder. So if we go back here now, I will try to cut the demo.txt file. We'll see that the contents has changed from this is a Linux class we are studying for blah 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 to hello world. So that is this greater than sign for you. But if I use the word, if I use double greater than sign, it will do append. So for you to remember, my audience, that is how I also know the difference between these two signs. The double greater than symbol is for append, and you know the word append has double P also, so you can use that to always remember. For append, use double greater than sign. So we know that our demo.txt file, the new demo.txt file is located in my desktop directory. The other one that I copied to the desktop directory. So I want to append. So append, this will now add this content to this file. It will not overwrite the initial content. So we'll still have the initial contents there. Sorry, I didn't spell desktop right. I didn't spell my desktop correctly. I omitted T. So we can see that. So if we come back to my GUI here, we can see automatically, even in the GUI, it has discovered that there's a change that has been made to this system. So if I reload this, you will see the change. You can see hello world is now included. So you can also test that by cutting the file on your terminal. You can see that. So that is echo command for you, and I've used the opportunity to explain this append and overwrite symbol. So we have the set. You can use set. This command is used to set or unset shell options. So for example, you can decide to set shell options or you unset shell options. We're exploring that in our coming classes. One command I will quickly want to run through is the alias command. So we can do alias m equals mkdir. Our mkdir command is used to change directory. So instead of typing mkdir, you can now just type the word to make directory rather. Mkdir is to make directory. So instead of typing mkdir whenever you want to create a new directory or create a new folder, you can just type the word m. So I'll explore these two. You can still use the old one, mkdir. Let me leave this directory. Let me come to /home/savvy/desktop. So I'll do mkdir Linux class. You can see we have this directory. So I can quickly use the m command, m Linux as a new directory, and we'll have that directory. So that's alias for you. So you can also use on alias to remove that alias. So on alias will remove the alias that I just created. So if I do on alias m equals mkdir. On alias command not found. Why? Okay, sorry, on alias m, let's see. Or on alias mk, yes, on alias m. So m is no longer used to create a new directory. If I do m Linux, it should tell me that m is not a valid command. M command is not found. So that is it. And I've talked about the history command. So with that, we've come to the end of this session. I hope you loved it. And I want us to ask questions. Let's ask questions. And I think I have a brief take-home work or take-home assignment for us. So questions. Hello, moderator. Hello. So we've come to the end of the session. We've come to the end of this chapter on essential commands, and I believe that this overview of the session will further help us in our coming classes. Thank you. I'm expecting questions, and I have an assignment for us. Moderator, you
Same.
can.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I
Okay,
can hear
can you
you.
hear me? Yes. So great. So thank you so much, Mr. Latif. It's been a wonderful experience. I've learned so much while you were teaching how to use the grep command, piping, and permissions, and how to navigate through your directories. It's really been a fantastic session. So I asked the question earlier. I think why we didn't have any questions. I didn't know if you saw it. I asked how can we use Linux file permissions to allow read access to a directory and its contents for the owner and a group, but restrict access for others.
Yes, I've answered that question, Mr. Olumide.
Okay,
I don't know, maybe
okay. I
you
think
were not.
yes. I think my network was crappy for some minutes. I guess I must have missed it when you asked that.
Yes.
Okay,
So
but that's fine.
So this is it. So this is the command to do that. If, for example, we want to restrict access to only the user that's the owner of a
Yes.
directory, that's the currently logged in user on the system, and the group to have only read access to a particular directory, but we don't want other users, that is, other people logged into the system to have access to that directory. This is the command that you use: chmod dash
Okay.
capital R 440.
Okay.
This 440 is the octa way of permission. I think in our next class, we'll be talking about 5 permissions. I will explore more on this and we'll talk
Okay.
about SUID, SGID, and all of that. Now, the dash R means recursively apply this command, meaning it will apply it to the
Okay.
directory and every other directory or file inside that directory, or the ones that will be created inside that directory in the future. So when I ran this,
Okay.
I got permission denied because I didn't use the sudo command. So I had to use the sudo command, and this is it. So this is the
Okay.
command.
Okay.
So I think I've done it
So
before. Sorry, so I will show
yeah. Okay.
you
Yes.
the effects.
Okay.
I think I typed my password wrongly. So if I want to quickly check, irrespective of the directory that I am, I can quickly check what the permission on the documents directory is using the LL, or LL is an alias for ls dash L, ls space dash L. So this is it. You can see D tells me that this is the directory, and you can see that the first three fields here, only read is active, other ones are not permitted.
That's it.
And the
Okay.
first three fields here are for the current user. The next three
Okay.
field is for the group of the user. So it's only users that are in the same group as that user that can have read permission to this directory.
Okay.
So, and the next three permissions are for the other users, that is every other person that is on the system. You can see there is no permission here. So there are two ways to grant this permission. The easiest way is to if you understand uh, octal number system, the easiest way is to use this octal number system. If you understand octal number system, so we'll talk about this
Okay.
in a broader sense in the next class. But this is the simple command to answer that your question. I can see that when I check,
Okay.
we have that only the user. These first three fields are for the user, and the next three fields are for the group. Only the user and the group have read access, just read access, and others don't have any access to
Okay.
the directory documents and its contents, because I use the dash R, the dash capital R flag. So that
Okay.
is
So
the
okay.
answer to the
So
question.
thank you very much for that explanation. I think that answers my question. So I think that will be the end of the class for
Okay, before
today.
we go, for my audience that are
Yeah.
still with us, let's go to this website, linuxsurvivor.com, to play through all the exercise that are on it. Let me quickly access the site so that I'll be sure that the URL I'm typing in is correct. Okay,
Okay. Linux, come again, please, so that I can put that in
Linux.
the chat. Linux.
I'll type it. I'm typing it.
Okay, that's all.
So, so you can send it to the audience. So go to
Okay.
linuxsurvivor.com and play through uh, all the exercises there. Play through all the exercises there. Play through all the exercises and solve all of them. And I believe you will know that at least you are no longer Linux is no longer alien to you. You know how to navigate through the terminal on Linux. I believe it will further pave way for us to explore more things. I think the first two. I can even share my screen so that we can see. We can see that. Can you see this?
Not yet.
My browser.
Not yet. It's not coming up yet.
All right, no problem. It's fine. So share this linuxsurvivor.com with the audience, please, so that they can play around with
Okay.
several modules there.
So I've shared
Several
the
quizzes.
Linux Survival link in the chat. You can use it to get more hands-on experience and also get better familiar with Linux itself and how to make the most of the operating system. With that, we've come to the end of today's section. I really want to appreciate Mr. Latif Taiwo for taking out his time to be very detailed as possible and explaining this section for us. I hope we all learned a lot, and so we are still open to your questions. I really get more questions today, so I'm sure probably we need more time to practice, and next week we want to come with our questions. So we'll also be here next week, same time. Please endeavor to join us and invite others to share in the experience. Till then, do have a great day and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you.